Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. We're still on that Voyager kick. This is Elogium on It's All Been Trekked Before. I may not even be saying that right, but you know something that's easy to spell and easy to say? It's all been trekked before. You know it. That's how you're here. It's part of the reason you're here. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, just as simple. It's all been trekked before. That's how you find us. We're keeping you posted on what we're up to, and you can keep us posted on what we're up to or how you think we're doing, or just check out, follow us and laugh. It's all been trekked before on Facebook, and this is Elogium, Voyager on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Your skeleton crew in the Delta Quadrant is here.
This is Steven.
Olivia James, and we're here to talk about the Star Trek Voyager episode Elogium. Am I mispronouncing it? How do they say it in the show?
I can't say an Elogium.
Elogium? Elogium. I think it's Elogium. Where, another generic title that could be any episode. First impressions of Elogium.
Definitely interesting. I'm not anti-cast, so I thought that aspect was interesting. The main story felt like something we'd done before, but not necessarily in a bad way.
On par.
It was very upon par, and I thought there were some weird, and we'll get into it. The weird kind of like, things about the Ocampans or Kess's people, and also just the reaction of your Neelix and some of the people around it. But I thought it was definitely interesting, and getting into the whole fraternization thing we get into right off the bat, and and then we get to the ending. So I don't know if it was a great episode, but I think I'd say overall I liked it. I know I looked on some of the general critical response was mostly negative, although the cast and the crew loved it. But I shouldn't say overwhelmingly negative. There were some people who really didn't like it. There were some people who just thought it was okay, but interesting stuff. So that's my first impression.
Yeah, I did see a Memory Alpha that they also considered making this the season 1 finale, so I'm guessing it was filmed in season 1.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought there were some cool things. I was excited to see the introduction of Samantha Wildman, who's going to be an ongoing concern, as you may have guessed based on, you may not have guessed. You may have thought, okay, we just introduced a character so we could have somebody that's pregnant.
I thought she was a one and done. I did. And then I looked into it. So the guy that wrote this, I think this was his first. No, the guy that wrote it, he came up with the Wildman character.
Kenneth Miller? Story by Jimmy Diggs and Steve J.K.
Diggs, yeah, the guy who wrote the story and about the creatures. And then he came up with the Samantha Wildman character. So apparently this woman, this young girl, actually Samantha Wildman, donated her organs, and her kidney saved his wife's life. So he kind of insisted, and she loved animals. So he was like, I'm going to kind of shoehorn this in, and it worked. And then, and so even with that, I was like, oh, is she going to be around later? And she is, which is cool.
I did not know that story, and that's a really cool story. I didn't know the name had implications beyond the episode.
And now
Samantha.
Yeah. The guy who wrote the teleplay was Kenneth Miller, and my favorite thing about that was he said, a show about eating and sex, these are things I know a lot about. And I always say eating is relatable, and it was for me. And sex is too, I guess, but especially eating is like, I do that. That's very relatable. So I thought that was interesting. And I'm getting ahead of us, but he really wanted to get into the eating and the sex, and they had a concern for Cass's young age. They decided not to, but we'll get a little deeper into that. So
yeah, I will. I mean, I'm looking at Nancy Hauer, who played Samantha Wildman, and her third credit ever was called Jailbait, which she did 3 episodes of that, which I feel like has other implications for Beyond. But she's best known for Zoey 102, which I guess is a sequel to Zoey 101. She was directing. She directed that, and she directed Jailbait. She's doesn't have a lot of acting. She does have writing credits. She also wrote for Jailbait 1 episode, but I don't see acting credits other than Samantha Wildman. So she's directed 5 episodes of So Help Me Todd, which is a current show that's still on the air, 18 episodes of Quick Draw, and she appeared in 8 episodes of Voyager's Instant Samantha Wildman. 4 of those 8 are this season in season 2, but then the other 4 are spread out over 4 years. So she's going to be an ongoing concern for the foreseeable future. I will say I did not remember her name was Samantha, but her daughter Naomi Wildman will be a much bigger part of the show.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
it'll be fun to have a child on board that's not Wesley Crusher and
Yeah.
not. I don't remember how many episodes Naomi Wildman was in, but a bunch. So as far as I know, watch it's going to be like 3. But to me, I think of when I think of children on Voyager, I think of Naomi Wildman. She's the one that I'm like, yep, she's it's nice to have a child presence because I feel like Voyager is set up to be a generational ship, and even though it doesn't end up having to be, which is good.
Yeah, it was something I don't think I'd thought about until this. Like, I think we talked about fraternization before, but hadn't talked about. I don't know if we'd gotten into the conversation that they have of, well, it's going to take a while. We're going to need replacements, which is fascinating.
So Naomi Wildman, there are 4 different actresses credited as Naomi Wildman, which is no surprise because child actor. But the main actress that plays her in seasons 5 through 7 did 16 episodes. So I'm not crazy that she's like a major part of the show. Okay. I think they had like a baby or a little child in the first like seasons 2 through 4, but 5 on they actually cast an actress, a young actress, a child actress, of course, but like an kind of like with Alexander or something, where you might see a young child that doesn't really matter, and then you get like for a while you get one actor, and then of course they recast him as an adult for Deep Space Nine. We'll
that makes sense.
But don't want to get too deep into the Wildmans, but I like seeing the introduction of that plot and knowing it's an ongoing plot through the end of the series is great. You mentioned the writing. It was written by a story by Jimmy Diggs and Stephen J.K. And Jimmy Diggs only has 2 writing credits. He did 6 episodes of Voyager, story by. This is his first, but he has another one in season 3, 2 in season 4, and 2 in season 5, and also 1 episode of Deep Space Nine in season 5 that he's got a story by credit. Never teleplay, just story by. Steve J.K., he only has the 2 Voyager writing credits, 1 this season and 1 in season 4. So then, of course, we just talked about Kenneth Biller recently, but it said teleplay by Kenneth Biller and Jerry Taylor. So we hadn't talked about Jerry Taylor in a while, but I could see if you're going to do a female-led episode, they often want Jerry Taylor, I guess the female producer who like it ends up being the showrunner eventually. I don't think she is yet at this point, but very instrumental in Voyager. So I think some of the better parts of how Kes was handled we can probably credit to Jerry Taylor, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, we start out with Chakotay catching a couple in the turbo lift, getting a little shummy. You're in a situation like this, that stuff's gonna happen, and I would have liked to have seen it at the end of season 1, but beginning of season 2 makes absolute sense. Get it early.
I mean,
and then Paris and Kes arrive together, and I couldn't help but think the writers or direct producers, whoever, were teasing us by having Paris and Kes arrive together right after that canoodling. Not just teasing Neelix, which they definitely were doing, but teasing the audience as well. Because I felt like we hadn't been teased with the Paris Kes thing in a while. Then all of a sudden, there they are.
And my general reaction to Neelix was like, dude, come on, relax, dude. But then as the episode kind of went on, I was like, it does kind of make sense in a lot of ways. So I kind of get him being jealous, but actually exhibiting hostility and all that doesn't help your situation. If there is, I think it makes sense for those two to interact, Paris and her. I don't know that there was anything outward. I don't know. I don't think Paris is like, I'm going to break them up or anything like that. But I think they make sense as a couple. But Neelix was not helping. I'm not worried about you. It's him. It's like, well, that doesn't sound good either. But that's
I think if they ever went there with Kes and Paris, they couldn't keep Neelix on the ship. Like, I feel like they've already set that up. That Neelix is an awful, jealous boyfriend who's, while he can be caring at times, goes beyond the pale in his jealousy. And I don't like it. These are the things I hate. That's why I'm glad Kes doesn't stick around for 7 seasons, because I feel like whenever she's around him, it's the weaker parts of his character, and I like him being developed apart from her. We just had the episode where he was on the bridge and helping out, and it was great. And then we go back to this, and it sucks. There's some things that are kind of interesting later in the episode, but I hated Neelix when he was acting like this.
Yeah, I mean, and Yeah, he's gonna be my annoying for most of that stuff. I can get back into that a little bit more later. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's tough with it. I think there's a way it makes sense for them that they don't stay together or whatever, and we'll get even more into that as we go along. But because I mean, even if you look at it as the May September kind of thing, it makes sense that she would at some point move on, and he'd be like, okay, that makes sense because
Or February, September.
yeah, exactly, yeah, right.
We'll get into that and how creepy that got.
Especially the way we talk about it in this episode. That's yeah. More questions are raised, which there's nothing wrong with that. I like that the fraternization thing leads into a talk between Janeway and Chakotay that is really in close quarters, and the sexual tension there, to me at least, and I know she's got a husband and dogs waiting and all that, but it was just like,
Not husband.
oh,
Mark
boyfriend.
is not her husband.
Okay, partner.
Partner. Yeah, okay. I think it's important to keep in mind because people have been shipping Janeway and Chakotay forever.
Yeah.
And the show, Jerry Taylor really wanted to get them together and they would not let her. But I feel like every time we see them together, and it's no surprise that Jerry Taylor's fingerprints are on this episode because she really wanted to. And I know like that was, you'll see as the show goes on, but the network was super against that. And I do feel like Prodigy kind of did a nice balance of we're not going to completely go there, but we're going to lean into that they are close.
Yeah. So I feel like that, and this is, I mean, it's good TV to me, this part, because give me more of this during the episode too, is before we get into all the baby talk or whatever, but like, hey, here's two people talking about the policy they're going to establish. And underneath that, there's this heat and whether it's me putting it in there, but I don't think I am, but if I am, I'm okay with that too. But I just thought that was a really good scene, and then it begs the question, again, like you said, people wanted to ship them, and clearly I am already, but yeah, I enjoyed that. And then I thought the episode was going to go more of a very sexual way, and then I was like, oh, I don't know if I do want that. And it's that thing we've been talking seriously and jokingly about, that like she's only 2, but then it's like, well, yeah, she's only whatever that age means to them. She's super young. And this episode, is she 16 or 21? And again, it's an apples oranges thing. It's not a perfect correlation, but when she starts eating ravenously and she's eating the bugs, at first I'm like, what is going on here? And then I'm like, this kind of has a sexual connotation to it. And and Mr. Biller kind of backs that up there. So, and then, everything else. And then, because I thought, is she in heat? And it kind of gets into that in a very clumsy way. So that is when I was like, oh, did Paris cause this? Because that's when she really gets into it. So maybe Neelix was kind of right, but it also makes sense that to me, whatever, that and I love Tom Paris, that she would be into Tom Paris and that would activate her. But yeah. So, and just a side thing, I thought she was going to turn into one of the Beatles at first also. That was another concern. So I thought, is this going to be like Metamorphosis, the Kafka book, not the original series episode with Keith's favorite lady, Nancy Merged. But
Merged Hedford.
That's it. I've given her a different name. Anyway, so.
Yeah, so Kessis the Ocampa, I don't know if they mentioned this episode, but they're in canon established to generally live to about 9 years old. So I like to think of 2 as probably about 20, because if that's 9 years, 90 is like a good range. Also, the actress was about 20 years old, 21. Okay. And she looks that. I mean, which makes Neelix, it's so creepy. He is definitely like at least mid to upper 30s, and he's with a 20-year-old.
Well, and yeah.
And the way he talks to her, it's so patronizing. Oh, innocent young girls that need protected. Oh, you don't still understand. You're not worldly. That is what sells it. Like, it'd be one thing if it's an age gap, but they treat each other as equals. Neelix doesn't treat her as equals. He treats her as somebody he needs to protect, and it's gross. It's so gross.
And yeah, and I don't even, you could say these are cliches of that kind of relationship, but I wouldn't say, or stereotypes or whatever you want to say, but there's a reason for that because lots of time that's real. And
Oh, I know.
so, but nonetheless, that's not a reason to like what Neelix is doing. And it, it's very complicated because I was like, well, in my mind, I thought, and this is another thing Biller wanted to explore, and they're like, nope, because I thought they'd already been involved that way. And they're like, nope, she's never had, I don't know if they say explicitly, but the thing that what I got out of the conversation, the Wikipedia conversation, was that Kaz and Neelix was a not platonic relationship, obviously, but they hadn't consummated it. And in my mind,
I think they're definitely consummated.
Okay, so you think they have? Okay, they're just not going to talk.
I don't think they'd be talking about kids if they hadn't.
That's a good point.
I also don't think he would have rescued her from the Caisson if they hadn't. I'm pretty sure they consummated before the series started.
Okay, because that's what I thought.
I assume he kind of grew. It almost feels like he groomed her.
Yeah, it could be. It's again, that's what's hard to, and you end up going down all these roads with it because I was like, how would? And
I don't like it. Period. I'm hard against the Cass Neelix relationship.
And many people give me crap deserve to give me crap about this, but it just the fact that when they start talking about puberty, that's so much younger than 20. And I know,
right?
Again,
that's like 10, 12.
Yeah. And so
well, I'd say the one thing about the puberty, though, is she does say her species goes through it at age 4 or 5 with a lifespan of 9. Mm-hmm. So she goes through it about the time a human, by comparison, would go through menopause, which I guess. But I do wonder how they only have one time they're fertile, and they never mention multiple births. So if they're only having one child per couple, their species is dying.
That was one of the
doesn't make sense.
That the internet has. Yeah.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't do any research, but it doesn't make sense.
And I get that heightens hey, we got to figure this out right now. But I'm going to kind of agree with the internet that makes it, to your point, like, well, you guys aren't going to last that long. I know it heightens we got to do it now. And we haven't even had this conversation. But again, it's one of those things that's kind of like my old get to know your Vulcan thing. It's like, you guys have never talked about this. It's never been a conversation, but you're in a serious relationship. But again, maybe that goes back to Neelix just being like, well, whatever, you're mine, and blah, blah, possessive a little bit or a lot, depending on how you feel about it. But yeah, then I thought those conversations got a little icky in many ways. One was that it got very into, and that was another one of the criticisms, was that it was like, well, women want to be mothers and they need to be mothers, and what was it exactly?
Because I'm less critical of that, because if she really does have a mating drive that's very specific, I could see how that would be beyond. Right? Like, it's different than somebody. And they did talk a lot about a true choice, even from Neelix, as creepy as it could be. It was like a true choice.
And they did.
And he did try to influence her choice, but he did say it was her choice.
Yeah. Well, and that was good that the word choice came up. But yeah, the guy, this is the guy who really hated it, so whatever. But he said he felt like it emphasized that all women wish to be mothers and all men are immature bastards. And I thought there was definitely a little bit of that where I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and
I did not feel such a broad brush. I felt it was.
I felt it in at least that one scene, but I don't. But like I said, once they start talking about choice and we're talking about all these different things, I thought it branched out from there. But I think these are all interesting, good things to talk about. I mean, it's should a crew fraternize? Here's a couple that I'm not even. I mean, they're are they better or worse than our old friends, the Keiko Bryan? That I don't know, because it always feels like Neelix is in a bad mood, and then there's other complications here.
At least they feel like they have equal say in the relationship. Like, Keiko expresses her displeasure,
this is true.
And if anything, like, she wears the pants in that household. Yes. She's not controlled by Miles.
Yes, and I feel like that's maybe
the fact that you call them Keiko Bryan. And I don't disagree, because it feels natural with the O and everything.
Yeah.
But that's her first name and their last name.
Yeah.
So there's something wrong with that couple name. Just implication, right?
Yeah. and maybe there's something to, I mean, not just the teen thing, and I think there is something to Kess's growing as a person, all that I maybe I'm bringing myself back around this, that she's like, I'm still figuring out what I'm doing. And I will say that is a problem in May, September, and especially February, September relationships is the younger person. Well, quite often the problem is also that the older person is figuring, as we all are. I guess that's the problem in all relationships. But I think there is something here, I think, along the lines you're talking of, well, she's still figuring stuff out. And she's going through changes, if you will, in this episode. So, yeah, but yeah. But the one scene, it did feel like it's like, well, we have to have a baby. That's what people do. And, you know, I've been talking about that's conversation with some people about maybe we had it off in the green room before, but, you know, like I love Parks and Rec and The Office for a while. I like The Office and B99, but a lot of them always end up, and I feel like that's where they end up jumping the shark, is at some point these people that we love got to get together and they got to have babies. They don't have to, not everybody does, but a lot of them, the main people do. I guess that's TV history, really. But and I don't think
I'm glad they didn't try to have Janeway have Chakotay's baby.
There you go. So, oh yeah, I was trying to figure out. Yeah, I think this is out of the continuation of the original Fraterns. Oh, they just the conversation about, well, we're gonna have to have replacements because we're not gonna live forever. And I just wrote down, this is a Seinfeld allusion, but sex to save the starship. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's, yeah, I mean, obviously it's conversations they have to have, but ideally, but I think somewhere in there, Chakotay or Janeway says, well, within that, it's like, well, if it does take us 75 years or whatever, obviously they're trying to find those shortcuts. But then, yeah, I think Kess does say, I don't know about being a mother. And I'm like, good. Think about this. Think this through.
Right? You're two.
Yeah, exactly.
Live a little.
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about it just in a general sense of like, all right, you're two and you're going to be around till 9. Committing at 2 is really tough.
Well, you already are a quarter of the way through your life. If you want grandkids, you better hurry up, because you wait till 4 or 5 to have grandkids, and you only live to 9, and your child has to wait till 4 or 5 to have kids. You're lucky to meet your grandkids.
This is true. This is true.
We don't have grandparents helping raise the kids. Jumping back near the beginning, we're introduced to these space bugs that are super hungry, and then of course Kess is super hungry. I definitely thought it was her psychic thing. Like, we've established she's got the psychic sympathies.
That's what I thought.
I was like, yep, must be it. But yeah. Neelix apologizes after acting all petty. Says he trusts her, not him, which I feel like is what jerk guys say.
Yes.
But Kess is hiding things, which is why I do think he's justified in like forcing her to sickbay, because she's acting out of character and hiding things and being all weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem odd they don't share quarters. That was the thing that was weird to me.
Yeah.
They definitely felt like a couple that had lived together a long time, but I guess we don't know their alien species customs and stuff.
Right.
But they can't escape the initial swarm of bugs in space without hurting the creatures. And I love that's so Starfleet. So like, we will let our ship get destroyed before we hurt these innocent, mindless animal life forms. And I liked that. I mean, it's frustrating. And there are characters that express like, look, they're going to hurt us. Let's just go. But also, I like the Janeway sticks to it. She's a scientist, and you don't want to just hurt life forms without knowing.
Well, and the way they talk about pheromones is funny, because it kind of alludes to, like I was talking about with Paris or with Kess, that maybe they're putting out pheromones too. So there is a little bit of a cross pollination, if you will, there of those two A and B storylines.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say Paris and Kess are never getting together. That's not something the show's going to pursue. I figured
it didn't happen. Yeah.
No. It definitely feels like they're still trying, and I wondered if that was a holdover from season 1, because I'm assuming this is one of the episodes that got held over.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably a holdover concept as well. Neelix gets tossed out of sickbay, as he should. Good for the doctor.
Oh my God. I mean, what he was doing is just annoying on so many levels. It's just like, and it's like when you're on the phone trying to take care of something, and the person next to you is like, so what did they say? So what they say? So what's going on? What are we doing? It's like, there's no way, I cannot, please go away. And the doctor was right on the money.
Janeway continues her trend of just being the perfect captain. The way she, like, Kess is almost literally insane the way she's behaving, like really out there. And Janeway just like, she's sympathetic. She wants to give her a hug. She cares about her heart. And that's like, I mean, that's what every captain should be. And yes, there would be people that say it's because she's a female captain. It's a woman thing. But at the same time, it's like, that's how every captain should be, male or female. I love that you actually consider the other person and give them what they need. And that's a good captain to me.
I thought it was like, because I was like, do not go in there. She is going to eat your face off. So I think there's some toughness too.
Honestly, I think it was, yes, absolutely tough and brave, because that was a dangerous situation. Yeah. I also think it just shows us we need more female captains. We need more female leaders, because the men don't know how to handle the whole aspect of the person because they're so emotionally stunted. And the women are more balanced. The Janeway can do the science. She can do the combat. She can also do the hugs. And most of our male captains don't check all those categories. So I don't see it as like she trends more feminine. I see it as she has the whole rounded package, and a lot of our male captains don't. They're lacking aspects.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is true to society. And I'm going to credit Jerry Taylor for that aspect of this episode as well.
Yes.
Feels like a Jerry Taylor thing. I admire Jerry Taylor. I'm a fan, if you haven't noticed yet. When I see her name, I get excited. I'm like, okay, there's going to be something redeeming. And even though this episode had a lot of flaws, it's these little moments that I'm like, oh, that's Jerry Taylor. And she's very tuned into Janeway. In fact, that might be the book I picked for our next, because, we do the books for this next. Jerry Taylor wrote 2 novels that are widely considered canon, even though they're not technically canon. One is Janeway's backstory leading up to the series. And the other is called Pathways, and it's like all the main characters' backstories, like in short story format. So I might make you read the Janeway novel that Jerry Taylor wrote, because it's really good and it just gives you such perspective on the character. Even better than the autobiography of Catherine Janeway, which I've read and I like, but I like the Jerry Taylor book better. So Chakotay is now suggesting reproduction. We got to that part. Janeway was amused by the whole thing, but she opts out because she's like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm the captain. I don't have that luxury. Yeah. Do you think it's Mark is what's holding her back, or duty, or both? Because I kind of feel like it's more duty than Mark, but it should be more Mark than duty.
I think, yes. I think it is more duty. I think it's, and we're however far we are into this potential 75 years or whatever. So I think for now, so for now, I think it's like, no, I still have to hold out or whatever, and I'm good and all that stuff. And she does mention, I think she mentions Mark, doesn't she, in this episode, right? In that early conversation. So, and I think there's also the, like I said, well, maybe we'll get back earlier. Maybe it won't take us that long kind of thing going on too. So
the show's only 7 seasons. It's not 75 seasons.
Right. But I guess there's also, if you're, I'm going to call him a horn dog. If you're Paris, you're just like, all right, whatever. I'm ready now. But if you're Janeway, she's like, I kind of got somebody waiting, and I don't feel like I'm in a hurry,
Well, from an audience perspective, even this early in the series, I don't think any of us expected them to end the series with them still on their journey home. Like, that was never on the table, I don't think.
Yeah.
Whether it ran 5 years or 10 years, you're going to end with them getting back to Earth. Yeah. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
They don't do the lost thing where they get home 3 years in, but they're gonna get home by the end of the series. So Cass had glue on her hands with her sticky hands.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to make them. This is the time they mate. So you think they're physically. You would think from a nature perspective, they'd be like in nature. When animals are mating, or people, they're releasing pheromones. They're looking attractive. Like the skin might glow. Yeah. Like there's lots of things that make you more want to mate. She gets sweaty and tired and crazy looking, and has sticky hands that look like they have glue on them. Honestly, even if she was somebody I found attractive, I'm on the record of saying I'm not into Cass, not just because of her age, but just in general. That is all look, I am all for natural look and not needing the makeup and all that stuff. But this is beyond that. This is just like your worst presentation of yourself. And that's supposed to get you to mating? Shouldn't you already be in the bedroom before you get all sweaty and stuff? Because it's
Yeah,
gonna happen if it's
that's
energetic. I get that, but
I couldn't decide which, and maybe they landed on all of them, which I kind of a little bit read, but like it's like, yeah, is it that she's going through puberty and she's, how young men get all the oily skin and all that, and I guess young girls do too.
sure,
But was it that, or
sure.
menopause where you're getting the hot flashes, kind of combination of both? Is it kind of a werewolf kind of thing? That's also what it felt like to me, and like which is also a very sexual thing. So I was, of course, reading that because I do like Kess, and I think she is very attractive. But yeah, at some point it's like, okay, no, and then and it's not even. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, how does this? Which again begs the question anymore. How does this species? How do they reproduce? And then she breaks the news to Neelix that like, oh yeah, if we begin, we must stay bonded for 6 days. I'm like, 6 days?
That I didn't have such a problem with. That I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. That's kind of
It's
nice.
like a.
It did just occur to me that if the women only reproduce once, but the
Mm,
species keeps going, perhaps they do not mate for life, and that they have a lot more women in the society than men. I don't know. I don't think that was ever
yeah.
hinted or said, and I don't think we saw that in Caretaker when we saw the Ocampans. But I guess if you had a lot more women than men, and you were not monogamous, then it could still
Yeah.
work for reproduction continuation of the species.
Or
And
if
also, maybe men in their species find that look in the sticky hands attractive. I don't know.
I
Everybody has their own things.
feel like maybe, yeah, other than the sticky hands, I was in. Or maybe they have a lot of twins and triplets and quadruple. Maybe they have litters.
They sure didn't talk like that. They sure
Yeah,
talked
they
like it was
did.
a single. Because I feel like as Kess and Neelix were discussing son daughter, like if it
Hmm.
was multiples, that would have been part of it.
Yeah. Well, and not to, I'm gonna not get crass about this, but it's also interesting. I'd also be fascinated what a Neelix Kess baby would look like.
I'm
Or
good. I'm
or
good not
even
knowing.
I don't even know what kind of equipment Neelix has. So, or
I
Kess for
have
that matter.
true.
I
I have
mean,
absolutely no curiosity in that realm. I don't
I'm
know if
curious.
that's. I don't know if that says more on me or them, but
I'm curious, but I'm not curious enough to. Oh, I can tell you, I haven't Googled on the internet so far, so
I mean,
maybe I'm
I
not
am
good.
now curious to Google what their baby would look like, but I definitely don't want to picture the sex. I don't want to.
No, I don't either. I don't either. Which, and again, the actor, he's great, but I don't. I wouldn't want to picture him and her having sex in real life either. So
Oh, interesting. If you Google Kes
you
Neelix
can pick.
baby, there's some interesting photos, and these are all like from the series. These are not like made up. I was expecting some like maybe not AI generated, but fan
Right.
made art that would show you, and not not seeing it. I do see one meme, and this is real creepy. That's Neelix walking down the hallway, and I think this is like season 5 Naomi
Uh-huh.
Wildman, so she's probably like 3 years old at this point. You know,
Oh
the baby
no,
that's not been
no,
born yet,
no,
maybe
no.
4. Right. And the caption on it is, my first girlfriend was half your age. And this is a very young Naomi Wildman.
I yeah.
Accurate, also like really sells the creepiness.
Yeah.
There is half these pictures are Tom Paris and Kess.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So if that tells you anything about what you find if you
Yeah. I
Google
mean,
Kess Neelix baby.
I'm gonna keep. I know it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna keep shipping them anyway.
You're gonna keep shipping Paris and Kess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as it's not Neelix and Kess, because Paris is younger than Neelix, and Paris treats her like a person,
Yeah.
unlike Neelix. So
Well,
I would rather her be with Paris based on what we've seen from Paris and Neelix up to this point than with Neelix.
I have some concern that Paris would, love her and leave her or whatever. But even though I
Sure.
love Paris and I think he's cool, and maybe he wouldn't. So that's why my alternate episode was Fast Times at Voyager High, where she finally is like, "Oh, I'm gonna get into it with this Paris guy," and then he ends up dumping her or whatever. It doesn't work out or whatever. But
I don't think he would. Like
I
I
don't think
feel
he
like
would either.
Paris is all bluster, but I
Yeah.
feel like what we've seen with him with Harry Kim, and we'll talk about this more next week. But what we
Yeah.
see with him with Paris is he's his own worst enemy, and it's because other people don't expect of him that he rebels and acts like that. I think
Yeah.
when people show him faith and love, he rises to the occasion, and I think we've already seen that with Janeway giving him this chance and putting him on the ship and treating him like this, and with Kim treating him like a normal person and a friend. I based
Yeah.
on just what we've seen, not going off screen, not speculating
Yeah.
beyond that, based on just what we've seen, I think if you're in a relationship with Paris, he's going to be loyal and true.
That's a good point, and I think it replaying the episode, the part where he kind of keeps coming back and like, hey, I'll see you later or whatever with Cass. I think he's just like legitimately looking out for her. Sounds too paternal and more of what we've talked about with Neelix, but maybe a little bit. I mean, she is a young girl on a friggin' starship, so looking out in a big brother kind of way more than a boyfriend or whatever.
I do want to know if they have similar milestone birthdays like we do. Right. She's like 1.5 and she has her sweet 16. Right. Not even 1.5. Yeah. And then before she's even 2, she's having her 21st. Like the parties must be frequent and great.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, I guess, whatever, several hundred years ago, maybe not that far back, people were having kids. I guess people are still having kids as teenagers, but.
I tend to think like she's already being trusted so much with the medical stuff that I'm like, honestly, based on her species lifespan, in half a year she should be a full-blown doctor. And they never go that far. Yeah. But seriously, like she should be able to pick it up. Clearly her species must pick up knowledge really quick and must mature really quick. They would be the ultimate speed readers, right? Like you should be able to just fly through.
Exactly.
It's the only way their species works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in their growth spurts, like if you don't see them for a couple months, like, whoa.
I think their growth arc has to be like a kitten or a puppy, where the main growth is that first few months of life.
Yeah.
And then they settle into a full physical maturity very young.
I went through that same thought process. I was like, well, they can't come out huge. They have to come out small, but really grow really fast. Yeah, it's a kitten or a puppy. Yeah.
I also have to think, and I have thought about this, like time should feel different for them. And I feel like she should just, because she's Ocampan, I feel like her character should always be in a hurry, always be like, perception should move differently for her.
Right.
I'm disappointed she feels too normal. I think somebody with her species lifetime, there should be a major difference in how she behaves than what we see.
It's a good question. Like, because lots of times people talk about, part of the reason we as a species are messed up is like, well, we all know we're going to die and when's it going to end then, and it affects different people differently. So that's about, because I mean, she's usually like the calming force, especially with Neelix, who's all over the place. She doesn't seem bothered by it, but maybe when we check back in when she's 5, maybe she changed that and she's starting to freak out about it. But
you're not going to see her much past that. I don't think we even see her reach 5.
No, I'm sure we don't.
Yeah. She does about half the show, a little bit less, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
but she does about half. So we get to a great mess hall scene. I love that we keep having these little exchanges between Tuvok and Neelix, because I feel like that was set up in the pilot. And I do wish we had more episodes that focused on their relationship, and we will have stuff coming up that are larger plots that focus on them. But Tuvok's reaction when he finds out Neelix didn't have time this morning and is serving leftovers is just like the eye roll and the sigh and the heaviness. And I have to think not only is Tuvok annoyed by it, but maybe Tuvok's just messing with Neelix. Because I can't see it being very logical for a Vulcan to be all that annoyed, because he got the sustenance. Logically, that should be enough.
Right.
I don't know. And
it made me laugh.
Or maybe he's just annoyed that Neelix has emotions.
What does he say? I've had quite a run on it, as a matter of fact. It seems very popular. If it's all you're serving, that would stand to reason. And there he is, just as I'm about to invoke his name. It was very Keith. It very much felt like something Keith would say, which is probably why it made me laugh as well. But
speaking of Keith, someone has entered the call.
Is it Shane?
No, it's not. Would you like to announce yourself?
Sign in your name and yeah.
I'm not Shane. All right. I mean, it started off as something that would probably be, this is going to be an annoying Neelix episode. And, opinions may vary about that, but I think that he would end up being pretty relatable under the circumstances. I could see him saying a lot of things that I found myself laughing quite a bit during the pressure that was being put upon him and some of the arguments that were happening. Trying to just imagine yourself in the place of having a conversation with your partner who is just, we have to get pregnant today. And anyway, that's it.
We're just kind of getting to some of him considering the pregnancy, we've just been talking about how creepy it is that she's 2 and he's so paternal and so patronizing and so ridiculous towards
Yeah,
her.
I don't know.
Mm-mm.
I don't recall. It seems like something that they might have made clear maybe the first episode or two, and I'd completely forgotten until they spelled it out like that. And then some of the things he would been saying made somewhat more sense, but then were obviously problematic.
Yeah.
It's everyone's going to take advantage of you but me. Setting himself up as being the one who's the most moral and whatever.
It's just awful. It's absolutely freaking awful. But so we're at the part actually where Neelix is. We just talked about Tuvok's reaction to Neelix serving leftovers. So that's where we are in the episode.
Yeah, I was saying that when Neelix says, he's like, "Oh, Gabasi stew is all I got," and Tuvok's like, "Yeah, that'll do." And Neelix is like, "I've had quite a run on it. As a matter of fact, it seems very popular." And he says, "If it is all you're serving, that would stand to reason." And that just, even watching, I was like, that is something Keith would say, and it made me laugh. Also, I love somebody pointing out the obvious.
We're finding out that Tuvok's a father with 4 children.
Yeah.
Steven, did you know at this point yet he had 4 children at home? Okay, I didn't think so.
He never.
So that is a major part of Tuvok's story, is that he's married with 4 children. And in fact, if you continue, once all this, I was going to say new Trek, but really the word new Trek is the 3rd generation of Trek, because we have the original series, then we have the 90s Trek into the early aughts, and then we have new Trek. So when the 2nd generation of Trek ended making TV and movies, they did a series of novels, and there was like a number of novels that were set on the USS Titan under Captain Riker's command, and Tuvok joins his crew with his wife in tow. And it's you finally get to explore what Tuvok's marriage is like and what his family life is like. And his kids aren't there because his kids are grown at this point, but I love that we've got that at some point, even if it's not canon, because all this left me wondering was I want to see Tuvok interact with his wife and children.
Well, I mean, once he says that he's married with 4 kids, that explains why he's not in a big hurry to get home. Hey!
I almost said the exact same thing. Also, why he
accepted the dangerous undercover assignment with the Maquis.
I'll be here all week.
Oh, no, I mean, you're not totally wrong. Just kidding. I love my children, of course. Yeah. Neelix wants a boy. And I'm like, you really need some more gender equality. He's so set on a boy. And then later he's like, nope, I've decided I'm so set on a girl. Both terrible attitudes. Like,
yeah.
My dislike of Neelix does not end throughout this episode.
I like at the end of that scene where Neelix says, I understand. We'll get there, Mr. Vulcan.
He always calls him Mr. Vulcan. He's been doing that since the pilot. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's from the beginning.
Is that I guess if somebody called me Mr. Human, it wouldn't bother me. At least they'd be recognizing the humanity inside of me, I guess.
That's been a running thing for a long time.
It makes me laugh.
I appreciated that the doctor, we had this scene where the doctor's massaging Kessa's feet. They're talking about her tongue swelling. Well, actually, I don't know if that's bad or not. That could be good in a few different ways. But anyway, the fact that we just had this episode where the doctor kind of revealed that he's secretly pining for her, and yet there is absolutely nothing sexual about him massaging her feet, I appreciated that. I mean, the doctor, despite appearances, is technically even younger than Kess, right? So that would be, she's the cougar in that relationship.
I mean, Marcellus Wallace would disagree about whether or not a foot massage was sexy or not.
I know there are people that feel both ways. I don't find them particularly sexy, but I feel like because it's such a thing that a lot of people find sexy, the fact that you have that scene without any sexual tension.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's mileage will vary. I don't want anyone touching my feet. That is not sexy.
I think that literally any kind of massage can be either sexual or non.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, therapeutic reasons for a lot of people needing to be massaged for,
Mm-hmm. Well, as George Costanza said, and this is the only Seinfeld part I think this week, I think it moved a little. Remember when we had the male, had the masseur,
So super predictable that once we get back out into the bugs in space, that the big one that's super aggressive is male, right?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
And also, it appears we've lost our sex appeal when they start leaving the ship alone. I thought that was a great line. That was a Tuvok line, wasn't it? I think.
Maybe.
You're right.
Pretty sure. I mean, just hearing it right now, it appears we've lost our sex appeal. Sounds very Tuvok. Janeway says to Chakotay about the mating behavior, like they're talking, and like Stephen and I touched on earlier, the tension behind them is so palpable.
You're correct. It was Tuvok that said, "It appears we've lost our sex appeal, Captain."
I was actually, I mean, it made sense that the male was the aggressor and, trying to chase off a rival. But what didn't make sense to me was the size difference between the male and the female. Usually you would think it would be the other way around if you have all these things swarming onto him. Like how you would think that they would, what I'm saying? It's less like the sperm going to an egg rather than just lots of eggs. It doesn't, make sense.
Well, aliens, they can be reversed.
You're right. As soon as I started saying this, like, wait a minute. We're just spending an entire episode with going to use a Steven term with Cass and all kinds of business that she's doing. You're just like, here's all, let's throw some pull some wacky things out of the suitcase that are different about her mating practices and the hands and just just again
it was very Mad Lib.
That's where I started really relating to Neelix's reactions when she's explaining not only the timeline but the way that things have to proceed to like holding hands for 6 days essentially.
I took bonded as like tantric, like Sting and his wife being bonded that way.
I think she was holding up her hands and specifically saying something about like, look at the state of them. They were like, oh, she seemed to be indicating that her palms were going to come into play somehow. Like they needed to be touching palms. And
I mean, probably, but I don't want us to lose our instead.
Oh God.
Neelix pouting, and then we have the false. I already forgot it. Elogium or whatever.
Elogium.
Whatever. Yeah, Elogium. And then we find out that Wildman's pregnant. We talked about that. Yeah. I did like the mention that her husband was on Deep Space Nine, waiting for her return. We'll get another Deep Space Nine reference next week.
Yeah,
and I like that. I like that they keep bringing Deep Space Nine back up as an ongoing concern. Janeway is very sad and sympathetic. Like she's saying congratulations to Samantha Wildman, but she's also like, I get, this is going to be hard, and I get that. She never once just pure congratulations, pure sorry. Like I like again, Jerry Taylor's hand. I like her playing the mixed emotions and all that. Any other notes before we get to the rankings? Keith probably has a few.
Those 2 or 3 different plot lines were going on were really compatible with each other, and we're very kind of quick to just this is it. I mean, there's not really much more you can go through with them, I would say. I appreciated that they're touching on the idea. I mean, let's introducing the concept of fraternization and the imperative. And I had never had, or up to this point, I hadn't thought about what it would mean to have a generational trip like that, or why they would actually need to do that, like logistically, which is kind of mind blowing.
You remember also, Samantha Wildman in this plot?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. We talked extensively about it earlier, but it's probably good you missed it.
Okay. I wasn't crap. So yeah, I appreciated Janeway's comment about that she didn't really have the luxury of countering herself in that way or thinking of things in that way for herself. Would that mean she wouldn't? Who knows? But it's the married to the ship thing, or at the very least being a professional, which is good under the circumstances.
Right.
Yeah, we talked a lot about whether it was more out of duty or more out of loyalty to Mark, and we both thought it was more out of duty.
Yeah, I figured the longer they weren't getting home, the more she might soften on that stance. But
you never know. You never know.
I forgot.
I will give a spoiler alert. She is going to reproduce with a member of the crew.
All right.
I can't tell by Keith's reaction if he remembers what I'm talking about or not. But Janeway is
Maybe.
going to give birth.
With the the thing on her hands is the pacifor.
Something like that,
Makes
yeah.
the mating bond possible. Wow, this is really. But anyway, I like that once he mentioned, or she mentions to Neelix, the 6 days thing. She's like, yeah, in order to ensure conception, after the stuff on her hands appears, we only have 50 hours to begin the process. And he's like, 50 hours? Oh, that's good. That's good. What? We can sleep on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's 7 to 8 hours, right? So a bit taken away, but that I feel like he's starting to back away at that point. The only other thing I had was I thought the Voyager going through all where the creatures in space was not one of their best effects shots, but
yeah, they haven't upgraded. Although there are new talks recently about finally getting DS9 and Voyager in 4K, which would be nice because all the other Star Treks have been upgraded to HD. Except for Voyager and DS9. They already did original Next Gen, and from Enterprise on, they filmed it in HD. So
this episode was especially a bad screen image on Paramount Plus because it was like cutting off like the sides, the credits.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but then I feel like next week's is going to be much better than this was.
I watched these on DVD, so I don't know what Paramount Plus.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, I did write down one note. So Zoey did not watch the season premiere with us, but she usually, because we watched it together, and her mom took her out of here. And usually she watches the episodes with me when we do Zoom. So she watched the first 4 episodes, episodes 2 through 5, including these 2. And then she put on the 37s tonight, earlier this evening, after she'd watched the next 4 episodes. And one thing that struck me then, and it struck me after we had our discussion, but we didn't talk about in the episode, was how the heck did that truck get in space?
Because that
was never resolved.
Never addressed, right? Yeah.
They kidnapped all those people, and they were in the freezing chambers and whatever, but they never explained how the truck is floating in space. That just doesn't make any sense. Lingering plot hole. Anyway.
Abe Lincoln left it there.
Right? My alternate episode.
I think we're supposed to assume it's the old-fashioned, the overhead beam. You see the people floating up through the air. We're supposed to assume that somebody was in their truck at the time, that the whole thing was just taken aboard.
Yeah. But then wouldn't the truck be on the planet with the people? And Amelia's plane's on the planet. So why is the truck up in space?
So why was the plane on the planet?
Because when they took Amelia was in the plane when they took her.
Right. But I'm saying, like, did it fall? Did it crash? Did they actually just carefully take it out of the ship and put it there? Or?
The plane was fully intact. So I assume it was set down gently. So why the truck was floating in space above the planet, I have no idea. And not even in orbit. Like, it escaped the planet's gravity and was just out floating in space.
I feel like we could certainly come up with theoretical explanations, but it is odd that they didn't explore that.
That's what I'm saying.
Spell it out. Like, this is the...
That's what I'm saying. We could come up with something, but there was nothing in the episode to give a logical plausibility of why they found the truck. It was a plot device to draw them to the planet and tease the plot. It didn't make no logical sense the way the story was presented. But
that is a shame.
Anyway, my alternate episode is Neelix gets canceled and they don't let him near Kes because he should not be allowed near Kes. Getting to the rankings, who was your annoyance?
Briefly, Kesslix was my annoyance, but then I was just like, you know what? She's going through a lot. So it's just Neelix. Yeah.
Second, it's Neelix.
I'm going to go with the space whale or whatever it was.
The large male space alien?
Yes.
Okay, then. Keith, did you have an annoyance for initiations and projections, the 2 episodes you missed recently?
Initiations was, let's see.
That was the boy that tried to kill Chakotay.
Oh God. There's lots of picks there, aren't there?
Well, I chose Razik and Steven chose Kar. Kar was the boy. Razik was the leader of the aliens.
Yeah, leaning toward Razik. I mean, the boy is certainly up there.
Okay. And for projections,
that's a tough one. I mean, oddly enough, I would actually go for Barclay toward the end.
Okay, I chose the Doctor and Steven chose the holodeck in general. Let's see, who are you having a drink with this week?
The makeout couple. They seem fun.
Okay, I'm
God.
having my drink with Wildman because even though she can't have alcohol right now, although she could probably have synthol, right? I don't know. I have to figure
I
that out.
thought about her too. Yeah.
But it was purely because it feels like she needs a friend. Like she's really suffering, and I just want to be a source of comfort. I'm not like objectifying her or crushing on her. I just think she needs somebody at the moment. Keith, who are you having a drink with?
Similarly, Neelix.
Interesting.
Yes.
So in Initiation, I had a drink with Neelix, and Steven had a drink with the security guard. Who are you? Who did you have a drink with in the Initiation?
Chakotay.
Okay. What about projections? I chose Barclay, and Steven chose Kess.
Huh. Perhaps fake Kess.
Oh, fake Kess. Interesting. Okay. And now we're getting to inspiring. Who was inspiring for this episode?
Ensign Wildman. That's where Wildman shows up for me. Yeah.
See, I went with the Doctor here because despite his attraction to Kess, which was well established last week, he was very professional and took care of things, and also kicked Neelix out when Neelix got annoying. So I was all for the Doctor in the total package this week.
He was a hero for us all on the kicking Neelix out part.
Right, but also keeping his own feelings in check and acting like an actual human being that was sympathetic to what Kess was going through and gave her what she needed, not succumbing to his own wants and desires.
I would say Chakotay, the biology coach through this, wasn't he? Essentially
a little bit. I can see that. Who was inspiring to you in Initiation? Steven chose Neelix, and I chose Chakotay for that one.
Well, certainly Chakotay again for that.
Okay. What about projections? I chose the Doctor, and Steven chose Bob Picardo.
The Doctor.
Okay. Let's rank this episode. And just for your information for ranking, we ranked projections as number 1 so far, the Barclay episode. Then the 37s, the season premiere, and then Initiations as 3rd. For this one, I want to start with Initiations. Better or worse than Initiation? I mean, I know it's the bottom, but there's only 3, and I would say this is better than Initiations.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 37s, I'm going to say worse than that.
I think I laughed more in this one, so it's hard to say. I don't know. I'm going to go better than the 37s.
Even's the tiebreaker.
You know what? I'm going to defy the internet. I'm going to go a better as well.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Above that, projections.
My Kess bias showing.
I guessed wrong. I already put it in, so I'm going to have to face this. But it's got to be worse than projections. Come on. Don't fail me, guys.
Yeah.
Like I said in our discussion on projections, once we started talking about projections, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, I know you came in really down on it. I came in really positive on it, but by the end, I think we both were pretty positive.
All right, I will say that I can see projections as being, the conceit around it is tedious, of course, because it involves the holodeck. But it was just a vehicle to get to a lot of other things that I thought were interesting. It's the they did the Buffy Asylum episode essentially, just the idea of obviously a good way to continuing some of the Barclay storyline and getting some history. It's sort of like a backdoor to giving some backstory to the hologram itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, we talked a lot about that. Immediately, I thought this was connected to the other Barclay episodes of Voyager, and it's not really. I thought this was the beginning of that arc, and those don't. That's not till season 6. I forgot, but I'm assuming that this episode set up that arc in season 6 and 7.
So they would have some idea of who he was, probably, and
No, because I don't think they ever mentioned this instance to him and in those episodes, but it was more just he had great chemistry with the Doctor and with the cast that it was later, a few years down the road, they're like, oh, let's bring him back and put him in with this crew again. Was my thinking. I could be wrong, but anyway. Okay, so this is number 2. Next week, we're talking Star Trek Voyager Non Sequitur. Harry Kim wakes up in San Francisco having never been assigned to Voyager, which Starfleet considers lost. Until then, live long.
39, hopefully, and prosper.
It's All Been Done presents
Who's Got the Time?